And picking back up, we have the braids for the pouch just about completed. The section where the knee is holding the braids parallel, which is what we want. And next, using a measuring tape, looking for a 6-inch pouch. So 6 inches from the knee to what will become the belly, which is where the braid comes back together again. And measuring these, it appears that we're very close. And 6 inches puts us right at the end of this braid. They are about the same. You can merge the fibers back together again. Twisting the two bundles tightly before folding for the braid offers the best tightening of the belly so that the two braids of the pouch are being pulled together at the belly very, very closely, very tightly. Because of alignment, going to unbraid and rebraid to help bring things into alignment a little bit more tight so that the bundles of fibers and the braids are more tightly braided. And we'll reposition the camera. As we're braiding the belly, the section right after the pouch, as we're braiding the belly, one of the things that we're working towards is in this first 4 inches, decreasing the thickness until it matches the thickness of the retention cord. Right now we're quite a bit heavier, so the strategy that will be used is to remove the shorter fibers at the beginning of the belly. So we will simply pull through the fibers and remove some of the shorter of the fibers. Obviously not going to reduce the thickness all at once. The thickness reduction will be gradual, probably over the next 4 inches or so. Pulling out some of the shorter ones, leaving the longer ones. Even as we're pulling out some of the shorter ones and we're reducing the thickness, there may come a point where it's necessary to add more fibers in simply to create length, because there will be a bit more braiding to do. In comparing the thicknesses, this section of the cord still is tapering. It's not quite to the same thickness as the retention cord. So continue pulling fibers out and continue braiding. the thickness of this section feels as though it's getting close. So we're going to double check with the upper part of the retention cord and see if the diameter is getting close. Appears it's still a little bit thicker. It is getting close to the same thickness as the retention cord. Close, not quite there yet. We'll keep reducing the thickness of the strap, reducing the thickness of each of these bundles until it is the same as the retention cord. We're coming up on about 4 inches of cord here, so we're close to the point where it should be reduced from the belly thickness down to the retention cord thickness. I'll continue braiding off camera as there is simply length to add at this phase, and that we're at the correct thickness here. So I'll continue on and come back on camera as I get closer towards the end. I've completed the braiding of the last section of from the belly all the way to the tail. It gradually tapers. I have added more fibers in as I've gone, but tapering to the point where the thickness of the tail almost matches the thickness of the finger loop. And that's the goal that I'm aiming for. Thin taper on this, and you can see all the fibers that were pulled out right after the belly in order to reduce the thickness fairly drastically in those first 4 inches, and then a really gradual taper that even included adding new fibers in as it was tapering so that it would continue the length and the thickness gradually decreasing to here. And at this point right here, the braiding is just about completed. I have the belly, or the pouch, I have the pouch finished here, and with my thumb in the pouch, the length that I'm looking for is for my hand to have the loop on my finger and to have the length of the cord end up being about in the palm of my hand, which is pretty close. That's pretty good right there. And coming back, this is the positioning for the pouch, and it's looking pretty good. Got a lot of little fuzzies to trim off with the fingernail clippers, and coming up on adding the tail. Now for the tail, it's going to continue a 5-strand braid, but I'm going to introduce in some stronger fibers. Begin braiding in the fibers of artificial sinew at this point. And those fibers of artificial sinew will allow the end of the sling to be more resistant to the whipping effect that'll take place. I'm beginning weaving the artificial sinew on the left-hand side. So I'll take out about half of the fibers. And twist in the artificial sinew, beginning here on the left. Twisting it in, folding it over. The sinew will be woven in only on the left side, just to make the transition a little smoother and a little cleaner. keeping the braid neat and keeping it fairly tight. I'll do 5 twists and folds on the left side before removing the fibers. Which means that all of the fiber has been twisted, braided with the artificial sinew for at least a full cycle of braid. So it's twisted in and then it's braided, and now I'll begin on the right hand side and remove the fiber. Pulling the fiber out on the right hand side, leaving it in on the left hand side. Transition from yucca fiber into the artificial sinew fiber, and I'm going to make a couple of little ties to keep the strands, just keep them intact. For the length on this, trim it to about a 3-inch length. And that should allow for a little bit of a tail without it snapping or catching on the wrist. If it's too long, that could be an issue, and I'm hopeful that that'll be just right. So that completes the demonstration of braiding a Balearic sling. Really creative use of the yucca fiber. It feels like a very primitive skills and excellent survival emergency use of a popular plant, one that's very common in the Southwest. And for those who are watching and observing how this is made out of the yucca fibers, if yucca is not native to your area, you may have other plants that will have fiber that is useful just like this fiber. Joshua tree leaves may be used. Also, a variety of ornamental plants that would be in the yucca family. Also, that could be used is the plant dogbane. The bark off of the dogbane stems have a natural fiber that's very useful. Check out my other video that talks about working with dogbane fiber. And stinging nettle itself has fiber that can be used. So there may be a variety of fibers available, and if yucca is not local to your area, take a look and see what natural fiber plants are available. And if you decide to make a Balearic sling, this is what's possible, crafting something just like this. The next step that I'm going to take is to use the fingernail clippers and remove all of the little fuzzy ends of the material. I may also use a lighter, use a flame to singe off the really fine light fibers that are not as workable with the tweezers. So with those two tools, using a lighter, using the tweezers, be able to get this cleaned up. And that will be the final completing step. When I'm back with the video, when I'm back on the camera again, it'll be showing the completed sling and hopefully a demonstration. I'm super excited about this. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back soon with the completed sling.